Some people say we all came from the waters, and others say from deep inside the earth. Some people say we were sent from other planets, and that the light of the sun and stars has given us birth. But you're the fire of creation, the breath of the eternal, the rhythm in our hearts, and the words upon our tongue. Your music fills our songs and sets our feet to dancing, and gives us joy-filled wisdom that it's from you we have come. From you we all have come. Some say we're from a cradle of civilization, and others say from the most beautiful garden on earth. Some say a bird from heaven delivers our children to the mothers and fathers who long to give them birth. Songs and sets our feet to dancing, and gives us joy-filled wisdom that it's from you we have come. From you we all have come. This precious gift of life is a wondrous treasure. There's no way to express our thankfulness. The beauty of your grace we cannot measure, nor the greatest gift of all, your blessed love. You're the fire of creation, the breath of the eternal, the rhythm in our hearts, and the words upon our tongue. Your music fills our songs and sets our feet to dancing, and gives us joy-filled wisdom that it's from you we have come. From you we all have come. We are all one. We are all
What a marvelous song, Jayanti. That is just so perfect, as usual. So, hold on. Let me get my brain together here. The external brain. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. O Lord, you alone are our mother, and you alone are our father. You alone are our dearest friend and our closest relative. You alone are our wisdom, and you alone are our wealth. O Lord, you are our all in all. Oh, peace, peace, peace be unto us all. Which really ties in so well with that beautiful song, Jayanti. Thank you. More importantly, happy Father's Day to you all. Happy Father's Day. It's such a great day. And to you who are fathers and grandfathers and involved uncles and involved friends, and those of you who've taken positions of being a father figure, God bless you. Bless you. It's a noble position. It's a really important position in life, and I'm sure it gives both pride and joy and heartache and enormous amount of worries and consternation. And it's a tough job, but when well done, the results last a lifetime. Both sides, the benefits last a lifetime. So for all of those, thank you, because those benefits radiate out to us too. You know, before I knew today was Father's Day, I knew I was going to speak today, but I didn't know it was actually Father's Day. And I'd planned to speak on the role of a spiritual teacher. So being able to do so on Father's Day was such a win-win, because it's a perfect opportunity, and those roles really dovetail in our lives, because so much of their roles are so similar. Our spiritual teacher is our spiritual father and our spiritual mother and our spiritual guide and friend and companion. Long ago, when I was young, this did happen. I was living in Hollywood, and in Hollywood during that time, Swami Prabhavananda was the head of our center in Los Angeles. And on Father's Day, we'd all go to the center and celebrate Father's Day. All the monastics, all the devotees from all over would come there, and we'd sit outside underneath a big tent, and we'd all just celebrate together. And that's what Father's Day should be, a grand celebratory occasion. Because once a year to celebrate that probably isn't enough. It's a very important role. So a day of celebration as Father's Day should be. Now, out of extravagant curiosity, I asked Google, what is the role of a father? Because Google knows everything. And omniscient Google was right on and said that the role of a father is a role model, a protector, a counselor, educator, encourager, provider. And I thought, bingo, right on. Because that's just what a real spiritual teacher should be. Those roles really dovetail. The qualifications for a good father is the same for a genuine guru. Same qualifications. There's a very famous oft-chanted verse from the Guru Gita, which goes, Om Brahma Brahma, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Deva Maheshwaraha, Gurur Eva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om, the Guru is Brahma, the Guru is Vishnu, the Guru is Shiva. The Guru is indeed the Supreme Brahman. And here in 21st century America, we go, what? Isn't that a bit much? Isn't that like a serious overstatement or oriental hyperbole? It's like, Supreme Brahman from this guy? No worky. But we really have to see where it's coming from, because it's coming from the spiritual point of view, not a physical point of view. And that's the difference. You see, the guru literally means heavy. Heavy. It's a very weighted role. The other thing that guru means is dispeller of darkness. And that is why the guru is so revered, because the guru dispels our darkness. What darkness? I see just fine. No, our spiritual darkness. Because it's our spiritual darkness, our spiritual ignorance, that causes us all this grief and problems that we have in our life. Because every problem that we have in in our life is due to just plain old spiritual ignorance, not knowing who we really are, mistaking ourselves for a mortal being, mistaking ourselves for a body-mind complex, instead of seeing ourselves for what we really are, the infinite divine Brahman, infinite existence. So we identify ourselves as a body and a mind with a charming personality. And because we identify ourselves that way, we tend to see everybody else the same way. As we see ourselves, we see everybody else. A thief will see other people as potential thieves. If we see ourselves as bodies and minds with charming personalities, we will see other people, including our spiritual teacher, in the same way. We'll see everybody else the same way. And we get stuck in that. The same thing we do with ourselves, we do the same stupid thing with our spiritual teachers. And that's not a good place to go. Because we cling to it, we attach to everybody else. But when we enter the spiritual path, we do it to find out who we really are. Who we really are. Not this body-mind complex, but who we really are, which is that infinite divine being. We are really the Atman, the divine self within, which is within all beings, this infinite divine reality. Birthless, deathless, unchanging forever, not subject to all the problems of the body or the mind. It isn't affected by birth or by death or by rebirth. It's not affected by Alzheimer's or bad moods. It's not affected by car accidents or insurance. The Atman, who we really are, is one with that infinite divine reality, Brahman. And there's no difference between that infinite divine reality and that infinite divine being, that infinite ground of being that pervades this universe, which means there's no difference between any of us. We're all, as Jayanti said, we're all one. We're all one. But we hold the position of the spiritual teacher in a much higher position. Why? Because he's the dispeller of darkness. Because we may intellectually believe and understand that we are the Atman. We're that infinite divine reality. But when it comes down to it, we react and relate like a person who is, like a mortal being who believes that they have birth and death and are affected by emotions and heartaches, with or without a charming personality. So our body and our mind and our personality changes minute by minute. And that's why it's ultimately, we can't really depend on it. You know, you see a person today and yesterday they had a stroke, and all of a sudden they can't remember who you are. But that Atman within them is unchanging, without a change whatsoever. It's eternal, eternally free, and that's who we are. We have to always remember that. So our spiritual teacher is here to teach us that, for us to understand it and know it, and understand it and experience it and make it a reality in our daily life. That is the whole point of a spiritual teacher, for them to show us the way, for us to find out who we really are and who everybody else is that we see and relate to. Everybody else is that infinite divine being that we mistake for a body and mind with or without a charming personality. So that's why this stanza says, Guru eva param brahma. The Guru is indeed the supreme Brahman. Because it's important to remember that relationship between the Guru and this disciple, between the teacher and the student, is not located on this physical plane. It's located in the spiritual plane. The physical plane will change continually. Guru's going to die. I'm going to die. Baby, we're all going to die. Sooner or later, this thing is going to leave the planet and go back to the elements from which it came. Same thing with the physical body of the Guru. But the relationship between the Guru and the student is in spirit, not in matter. And that relationship is eternal, unaffected by death. And that's why they say the relationship between the Guru and the student is eternal. Again, which is why the role of the Guru is considered so sacred and so important. Because it's unaffected by death, unaffected by anything, even from beyond the body. The Guru will be here to help us. I remember asking Swami Prabhavananda, what's going to happen when you die? And he said, I'll be able to help you more. Now I'm limited by this body. I'll be with you all the time then. It's like, wasn't a lot of comfort at the moment. But I can tell you it's true. It's true. So the relationship between the guru and the student is in a non-physical plane. And that's why it's eternal. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that Sat Chid Ananda alone is the guru. Sat Chid Ananda means infinite existence, infinite consciousness, pure consciousness, and infinite unadulterated joy. That is the nature of Brahman. That's the nature of who we are. Infinite Sat Chid Ananda. And that he said Sat Chid Ananda is the guru. So this infinite joy, infinite consciousness being comes down as a human being for our sake. And that's how we should regard him. Not as a guy or gal, but as that infinite divine being located in that human form. So the guru sees the divine in the student, and the student sees the divine in the teacher. And that's how the relationship works. Because it's all about the principle, not the physical person, not the personality, not the body. Because too much emphasis on a personality can lead to a personality cult. Well, my guru was like that, and your guru is obviously not as good as my guru. I mean, I've actually heard that. It's like, are you kidding me? Have you ever read Sri Ramakrishna? I mean, have you ever understood that? It's like, no. The Lord comes down to us in the form of our guru for pure grace and mercy, that they come down to teach us. And we should see that as a principle, not as a human being with likes and dislikes. Well, my guru doesn't eat fish, and your guru, it's like, come on. Who cares? It's that infinite divine being masquerading in a body and a mind and a personality. That's who we have to understand that being really is. So it's infinite Sat Chid Ananda coming down in that sweet form. We have a perfect example of a perfect guru-disciple relationship. And that was with Swami Prabhavananda, the founder of our center, in 1930 in Los Angeles. He'd been in the country before, up in San Francisco, then Portland. And Swami Krishnananda, who was then George Fitz from Massachusetts, who always, until the day he died, talked about parking the car. American guy from Boston. And he was very devoted, and he later became Swami Krishnananda, highly, highly advanced spiritual soul. I remember when Swami Tathagatananda from New York came out, he saw Krishnananda, picked him up, who was actually taller than he was, held on to him. He said, we don't even have saints like this in India. Do you realize who he is? Yeah, we do. He had the perfect servant attitude. He was with Swami Prabhavananda day and night. He was like his shadow. He took down every word he said. He transcribed his talks. He did every dish that he could find. He did every sort of, he kept in the back of his car, every sort of thing you did. You want a raincoat? It's in the back of the car. You want an inner tube? I'm sure he's got it in the back of the car. It was unbelievable. He would take perfect servant attitude. There was probably never, Swami Prabhavananda probably never had a greater disciple or a devotee than this man, who could not be with him enough, could not understand from him enough, just like every word to him was so precious. Now, he loved Swami Prabhavananda to the depth of his being. And Swami Prabhavananda died in 1976, and Swami Krishnananda lived until sometime in the 2000s. So, at Swami Prabhavananda's death in 1976, we're going to go, oh, this is going to be hard on him. What was amazing and inspiring was that at Swami Prabhavananda's death, Swami Krishnananda moved seamlessly to the next henna center, Swami Swahananda, without so much as a ripple, without a blip, as heartfelt a service he gave Swami Prabhavananda. He gave the exact same love, service, dedication to Swami Swahananda. And there could not have been two more different Swamis in every possible sort of way. Every sort of way. Without a blip. Absolutely seamless. Love, devotion, dedication. It's like, how is that even possible? Because he saw the principle, not the person. And he achieved the highest state of spirituality through that principle and that spirit of service and adoration and love and true knowledge of what that what that being is. That gave him the highest realization. People felt blessed to be in the same room with him. And this is where I kind of stop and scratch my head. Because for the life of me, what I find completely incomprehensible is that people are very sincere about wanting to develop their spiritual life. They say they really want it, and yet they are stubborn as a mule about getting the guidance of a spiritual teacher. Okay. Now, some just don't want anybody telling them what to do. Understand, we're Americans, we're like that. On the other hand, no one holds you down and puts you in an electric chair and says, you must do this and we're going to give you that. No. The guru gives you instructions. And you can either follow them or not. He's not tying you down. No one's holding you. You can just walk out and say, it's too hard. It's up to you to follow the instructions. If you want to be happy, if you want to have a little peace in your life, you follow the instructions. If you don't, go ahead, ignore it. You're alive. Good luck next time. So, and sometimes people will say, well, I consider that person to be my guru. I consider that person to be my spiritual teacher. Now, that person might have died decades ago, but they're still inspired by that person. And that's good. Or they might be inspired by another person who actually doesn't take disciples, doesn't give initiation, but that's who they're inspired by. And it's good they're inspired. It's good they feel the call, they feel the urge to develop their spiritual life. But it's got to be more than that. You got to have the follow-through. And if for some reason that person is not alive when you're alive, or if for some reason that person doesn't accept disciples, that means if that door is closed, go where there's an open door. That door is closed for you for some reason. You're meant to have spiritual growth in another place. Don't tie yourself down by that. Because spiritual growth is what we're after, not the personality. The principle, not the personality. So, it's good these people are inspired. It's the place where we all have to start. But we can't stop there because it's not enough. It's not enough to be inspired because there has to be some serious follow-through. And that's the hard part because the follow-through isn't always the easiest part that we like. Because what happens is we can be inspired, but it's not enough for us to change our life. And that's really what we need because inspiration isn't enough to change the contents of our minds. That's the problem. Because our minds have all these accumulated tendencies, habits, memories of not only this life, but of all those previous lives. And all those previous life splits. This life has all their effects in our mind. They're all there. Most of them subconscious. A lot of them in just seed form from previous lives, but given a little stimulus, they pop up like a weed given a little bit of dew in the morning, as we all know about those. That's what happens. So we need to change the very character of our minds. And that's hard. That's really not easy. It's a lot of work. So you may say, wait, you know what? I like my mind. I like the contents of mind. I like the way I am. This is the way I am. We're Americans, right? We all like, hey, I'm a Marlboro mind. Take me because I'm independent and I do my own thing. Get out of the way because I got a gun. That's how we are. We're very independent. I like the way I am. You take me the way I am and I'll take you the way you are, as if. But that won't make us happy. It won't make us happy. Because if we're really truthful, we'd like to be a little happier than we are right now. We'd like to have a little more peace of mind in our life right now. We'd also like to have less fear in our life, without kind of looking over our shoulders, wondering what's going to happen next, wondering if this is going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. This could happen, that could happen, that could happen. We could use a little more contentment. So many people think, if I had this, then I'd be happy. Or if this wasn't happening that way, and once I fix this, then I'd be happy. Or if this wasn't going on this way, and I change this, which just if that person goes away from my life, then I'll be happy. We all know better than that, or we should. The only thing that makes us happy is this and this. We all know happiness is an inside job. It's nothing out there. It's all in here. If there's something out there, what in here is reacting to it? How did something out there become something in here? Why did I transfer that into here? Because you wanted to? Ouch. What did God do before you were born, baby? Seriously. We all know it's an inside job, but we don't act that way. And that's the problem. Our happiness is dependent on us. And that's it. Nobody else. Nobody else. It's our choice. So we have to change our minds. We have to make our minds our friends rather than, basically, our mind has to be our friend rather than our opponent, rather than something we're afraid of dealing with, rather than something we're afraid to, like, lift the garbage can and look down. Like, no, I'm fine the way I am. I'm the way I am. It's like, fine. Do you want to live with that the rest of your life? You expect other people to live with it. Are you going to be able to live with it? That's really the issue. Can you live with that? Is that making you happy? Is that giving you peace? Do you feel fearless and strong? See, the problem is we're all going to die. How are we approaching that? We don't know when or where, but we know we will. Are we doing it knowing who we really are? Knowing that we're the divine self? Or are we doing it identifying ourselves as this body we're trying to hold on to? That's really the point. How are we approaching the rest of our life? We don't know when the end is coming. We know it's going to go sometime. How are we approaching it? If we think that we're a drop of water merging to the ocean, hey, why not? But if we think that we're a temporal body and my charming personality is going to go with it, then it's going to be a scary, unhappy thing. How do we face our life? Can we increase our joy? Can we increase our level of compassion and love for one another? Can we increase our capacity for patience and understanding and wisdom? Or do we want to stay the same small being that we want to be because it might be too much work otherwise? It's really our choice. So we've got to live in this internal universe. So how do we want to do it? Do we want to get the help of someone who can help us find out who we are? Or do we want to actually say, nah, it's too much trouble? You know, it's like when you get a dog from the pound, and you get a dog with a pound, they've got all these bad habits. And you know, you cannot jump on the table. No, you cannot eat from the garbage. No, you cannot. No. You got to get, if you got a big dog, or even a little dog, you've got to get him a trainer. You got to give the dog a trainer. Sit means sit. Lie down means lie down. No means no. Drop it means drop it. And that's what the guru does. He's a good trainer. The trainer doesn't teach the dog. The trainer teaches you. It's like trains the dog, and then you got to do the follow through. That's what the guru does. It's like trains you what to do, and you got to do the follow through. And if you want a big 80-pound dog jumping on you and knocking people over, and you getting a lawsuit when someone opens the door, you're going to have the same thing with your own mind, knocking you down when you don't least expect it. We got to make the mind our friends, not our adversaries that we have to deal with. We have to have a mind that gives us joy and contentment and fearlessness. So we have to make the mind our support and not something that we're afraid of putting too much weight on. because we don't know if it's going to hold our weight, whether it'll be stable or not. But that takes some effort on our part, and for that we need an experienced spiritual guide, someone who's been there, done that, someone who knows the ropes. You know, what's important is not if we can sit on the floor. That's about the most unimportant thing there is in spiritual life. Sit any way you want, just keep your back straight, that's all that's required. What's important is how we deal with our life, how we deal with our mind, how we deal with others. What does that reflect? That's what's important, not whether you can sit on the silly floor. Now, people may see us meditating and think, oh, wow, they're so spiritual. They've been down there for like an hour. Wow, I can't do that. And they got the legs up like that to the ears. And we might be so stupid as to say, wow, look at me. I'm up to this. And those people, they have to get up. I can outweigh them. I can do it. It's like we might so clueless as to think that's a good thing. It's ridiculous. A good spiritual teacher can see through that right away and call us back on the path. We may be clueless to fool ourselves, but a true spiritual teacher can see right through it and will put us back on the path. Now that's why the description of a good father is the same thing for a wise spiritual guide. They're our role model. They're our encourager. They're our counselor, our educator. And that's why we need a spiritual teacher. Because when we go off track, they pull us back on the path. Even after death, they can do that. And yet, people still think they can attain the highest state of spirituality without having some guide to let them know how to do it, to show them what's the path, how to stay on it, what's the best thing for that person. No, we do not do group meditations. Why? Because every human being is different. Every human being has their own past, their own history, their own idea about who to meditate upon, who do they see divinity. It isn't like one suit fits all. Every person's different. So that's why you need a wise spiritual guide to see your tendencies, to see what you're capable of and what you're not capable of. That's why you need an advanced spiritual guide. So people still think, oh, I'm going to do it on my own. We're Americans. We're used to that. I'm a Marlboro man. I'll do it on my own. Stand on my own feet. Well, fine. Did you learn to ride a bike when you were 4? Without someone helping you? You just got on that two-wheeler and just went down the street? I doubt it. Did your parents throw you in the deep end of a pool and say, good luck, we'll be in the house later? I hope not. Are you planning on scaling Mount Everest without a map and without a guide? Okay, good luck with that, smarty pants. We'll read about you later in the newspaper, right? So how do they think that anyone can attain the highest goal of human life, which is realizing God in this very life? How can people do that without the help of an experienced spiritual guide? Because it's the most important and the most difficult thing that we can attempt. Scaling the map of our own minds. Finding God in this very life. I mean, how many people do you know that are even interested in that? Even find that a goal. The fact that you're here says something. To make that a goal of life is so rare. So you have to go on the last lap. Get someone who can help you attain the goal in this very life. That's the highest goal. So being smart doesn't help. Just because we're intelligent doesn't mean that we make a good decision. There are plenty of smart, arrogant people who are spiritual dummies. It doesn't help. In spiritual life, what helps is having enough humility to know what we don't know. And finding someone who can give us help to get there. So can you learn to meditate by reading a book? No, you can't. Because no two people are the same. Can we find something on the internet that works for us? No, we can't. Again, because people are different. And you need to find someone who knows your inner tendencies. What about one of those quick and easy initiations where someone does it for a fee? Are you kidding me? No, come on. I once asked my spiritual teacher, Swami Prabhavananda, Swami, there's so many gurus and so many avatars, so many incarnations. How do you tell the real from the fake? And he said, look at their lives. Examine their lives. They must lead an absolutely pure life, and they should never ask for money. And he said, I just ask for 4 fruits and flowers. And then he said, a real spiritual teacher wants his disciples, or his or her disciples, to excel him or her in spirituality. They want their disciples to exceed them in spirituality. So if you find some person who's going, hey, I attained that, I'm such a great spirit, and you can't do it, run the other direction. A real spiritual teacher wants us to excel him or her in spirituality. That's the sign of a real spiritual teacher. So it's important to find the real deal. That's why we need a real, genuine, tried and true spiritual teacher to lead us on our spiritual life. Otherwise, it's as the scriptures say, it's like the blind leading the blind, both falling into the ditch. Swami Brahmananda, Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual son, and the guru of our founder, Swami Pravrajika, said, the spiritual path is hard to follow. No matter how intelligent a person may be, unless they have the guidance of an illumined spiritual guide, they are sure to stumble on the path. Sure to stumble. And that's Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual son who said that. See, the problem is, once we stumble, it's very hard to get started again. Because once we stumble, we'll think, not now. I'm obviously not ready for it now. You know what? I'm just going to wait, and when it's a better time, when I'm not so busy, when I don't have to do this, when I don't have kids, when I don't have, my grandkids aren't here all the time, when I'm not so busy, obviously when I'm in a better place, then I'll do it. But that's not how it works. We had the opportunity then, we got to pick ourselves up, start back again. Because again, we don't know when we're checking out of this World Hotel. So we always have to remember that we're going to check out sometime or other, and we have to be prepared for the journey. When the call comes, we have to be prepared. We just know life is short, and we've been given the opportunity to get back on the path and get back and start again. It's harder once we stumble. So that's why it's good to have the advice of a spiritual teacher before we stumble, or so that we don't stumble. Because, we can get mantras from various books. Yeah, they're there. You can just read them. But the problem is, it's information. It doesn't help us. It's like you buy a vacuum when you're in a village. Oh, there's no electricity here. There's actually no floor in this hut, actually, when you get down to it. So it's all about really the electricity, because the mantra that you get is charged with spiritual power. You can get a mantra and read it, it won't have the spiritual power in it. And we need that spiritual power. That's really the point. And a mantra from an advanced spiritual teacher holds tremendous power. It's not information. It's the power in it. The mantras that we get from our spiritual teachers in the Ramakrishna order have tremendous power in them because they come directly from Sri Ramakrishna, through what they call the Guru Parampara, from teacher to disciple, from teacher to disciple, from teacher to disciple, from Sri Ramakrishna himself to Holy Mother, to Swami Vivekananda, Swami Brahmananda, Swami Shivananda, Swami Vijnanananda, etc., 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 down through these sacred links. And those hold tremendous spiritual power. And it has to be done from the Guru's lips to the ears of the student. It has to be direct and personal. And that mantra goes directly into the heart. And with the water of one's love and practice, it develops into a powerful tree that becomes the strength and the root of our life. That becomes the strength of our spiritual life. You can't get that from a book. You can't get that from a video. the thing is, spirituality is caught, not taught. It's not an analytical activity. It's something, it's like you light a candle from a flame. That flame lights another flame, which lights another flame. You hold the candle with the flame. You can hold a candle to your computer all you want. It's not going to light. You need it from an illumined spiritual teacher who can guide us on the path. So the power of this spirituality is transmitted through the mantra, through the words of the teacher, and then it folds itself with practice and with love. And the grace of God, the grace of our spiritual teacher, and God help us, the grace of our own mind. The grace of our own mind to do the practice, to practice what our guru tells us to do. So you can't get that from a book or a so-called guru who just makes it a living, who makes money off of it. We need to listen with humility and take it in and learn from it. And as we need to do it because that will prevent us from going down the wrong path. And that won't happen. We won't go down the wrong path if we actually follow their instructions. We don't edit, as Swami Sarvadevananda often says. We get their instructions and we don't edit. We're like, oh, I just heard that. That sounds good. I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut that part because that part's kind of boring. I don't like that part anymore. You don't do that because then we won't get the results that we need. So we can have the grace of God. We can have the grace of our spiritual teacher, but we have to follow their instructions. That's our part of the bargain. It's like you go to the doctor, you say, you know what, I really feel horrible. I really feel horrible, please. And the doctor does an examination, he gives a swab, he says, you got strep throat. Like, dang, I'm going to write your prescription, here it is. And you go over to the pharmacy, you go to CVS, and you get in, they hand you your penicillin or ampicillin, whatever penicillin they give you nowadays. And you say, you go home, you say, I'm not going to take that. I'm going to do vitamin B. It's like, you know what? You're going to get sicker. You're not going to get the help you need. Why didn't you follow through with the instructions? That's the whole point. And the guru's instructions are just that. Follow through with the prescription. Do that. It will put you on course. It will give you what you want. If you do this other thing because you want to do it because it's a little more interesting, you're not going to go where you want to go. You're going to end up in a ditch. So you have to have it directly from a spiritual teacher. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the gurus can be had by thousands, but rare is the disciple. Why? Well, he said there's plenty of people to give advice. He said, but who will take the advice? Okay. And then he said, if people have faith in the words of their spiritual teacher and follow them, he said, then all their doubts and their troubles will vanish. Who doesn't want their troubles to vanish? Hello, doesn't that really sound good? It seems so simple, but yet actually very few people do it. Why? Because it's work. It means making a commitment, and Americans are very commitment averse. It means a commitment. It means it's like being a dad. It's a commitment. You have to have the follow-through. You've got to take responsibility. And as the guru takes responsibility for us, which they do, we have the responsibility to follow through their instructions. And that's what people don't want to do. Because it's like, it means keeping up a routine, keeping up a practice, and doing it, whether you're bored or not, whether or not it's a good or bad day, whether without laziness and without giving into sorry excuses. Oh, you know what? I had to do that day. It's like, and what about the 23 hours before that? Or the 23 hours after that? We often give ourselves sorry excuses because we just are lazy. We just don't want to do it because it's like, I did it yesterday. Yeah, you got to do it today too. And tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. Yeah. But as Swami Brahmananda said, again, Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual son, he said, with unwavering faith in the words of the guru, the disciple must regularly practice the repetition of the mantra and the meditation on its meaning. Thus, the disciple will find peace of heart. Who doesn't want to have peace of heart? Come on. And the repetition of the mantra is very important because what it does is purify the mind. And the mind has all these latent impressions from this life and from all those previous lives. And that stands in the way of our spiritual progress, of our spiritual illumination, basically stands in the way of us being happy. So the mantra, the repetition of the mantra, purifies our mind bit by bit. Our senior nun here for many years, Pravrajika used to say, she said, each repetition of the mantra is like a link in the chain. A mantra repetition, a mantra, and you go up and down. You go up that chain bit by bit, and eventually we reach our goal, which is God. Bit by bit, mantra by mantra, link by link of the chain upwards. So the mantra gives us the purification. Again and again, repeating the mantra purifies the mind. It also gives our mind something to chew on. Something to chew on, because the mind is going to think something. It's going to be going over something. Because unless we have the mantra being repeated, we're going to rehash some old argument, or we're going to try to figure out where we left our keys, or we will figure out tomorrow's menu or this afternoon's shopping expedition, or maybe it'll just find a song from 40 years ago that somehow comes in your mind and you can't let it go. It keeps going around, around, around. Because that's the nature of the mind. So you have to give the mind something to chew on. So why not give it something to chew on that will purify it, that will bring joy, which is the mantra. And that's why repeating it is so important. You can do it walking. You can do it anywhere. You can do it, go to the bathroom. Go ahead. Repeat the mantra everywhere. There's no place that the mantra shouldn't be. Wherever this mind is where the mantra should be. So rather than rehashing old arguments or regurgitating old arguments and putting them through the grinder again, why not repeat the mantra? Why not find joy? Because we have to purify the mind of all of its cobwebs, all the dirt, so we can be aware of the presence of the divine that's there already. It's there. We just are unaware of it because of our own ignorance. When we remove the ignorance, it's there. We will see it. So then there's that instruction to meditate on the meaning of the mantra. And I remember for the longest time that confused me. So it doesn't mean looking up the syllables in the Monier-Williams Sanskrit English Dictionary. No, that will not help at all. It doesn't mean an analytic understanding of what is in the mantra. That is not what it's about. It's not an intellectual activity. It's not an analytical activity. It means not to intellectually parse everything in the mantra. It means having deep faith in the power of the mantra, knowing that you're in a sacred place with that mantra, knowing that those syllables of the mantra are not meaningless, they're not random, and that they hold great power. And they are the source of our joy and our life and our love. It is a profound, sacred meaning. So every mantra is really a short prayer. It's really a short prayer. And we have to hold that prayerful frame of mind. That is the meaning of the mantra, with an attitude of the sacred. And finally, we're told that as disciples, that we are to serve the Guru. And I remember asking Swami Prabhavananda about it. First, he said, I was just sitting in the living room with him, and he said, can you turn up the thermostat, put it up to 70 degrees? And I thought, oh my God, I can finally serve my Guru after all this time. You know, if you're 16, it's like anything. Thank God. He's so old, he's almost 80. So how long will he be with me? So I was able to turn up the thermostat. It's like, thank you, I can finally serve him. And then I asked him, I said, Swami, how do we're supposed to serve the Guru? How do I do that? And he said, follow my instructions. It's like, oh, dang. That's so much harder than turning up the thermostat. In the old days, with the old, the old Guru Shisha thing, you would go out and you would chop you would chop firewood for your Guru and you would bring him to him and you would serve him. It's like, no, we can't do that. So actually, he said, if you only serve me, follow my instructions. Okay, all right, fine. So follow their instructions. That's the basic thing. Follow the instructions. The hardest thing and the most important thing. Follow the instructions. So, for all you fathers, grandfathers, uncles, father figures, guys who've taken on the responsibility of guiding and caring for those people, putting people under your wing. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. To be a counselor, provider, protector, educator, role model, that is no mean task. It's a huge one. But that love and care that you give lasts a lifetime for both those under your wing and for you yourself. It lasts a lifetime, and that goodness within you radiates out to the rest of us. So thank you. Thank you. Om Srimad Parabrahma Guru Vadami, Srimad Parabrahma Guru Pachami, Srimad Brahma Guru Smarami, Srimad Parabrahma Guru Namami. I remember the Guru who is the Supreme Brahman. I speak of the Guru who is the Supreme Brahman. I bow down to the Guru who is the Supreme Brahman. I worship the Guru who is the Supreme Brahman.
What a miracle that these feet do walk, and a miracle that this mouth does talk. It's a miracle, all the words you bring to this voice as my heart does sing. You're the good thoughts running through my head. You're the golden sun and our daily bread. You're the mountains and the ocean shore. In all heaven and earth, who could ask for more? You are the eagle in its winged flight, the hoot owl song in the starry night. Every baby in its mother's arms, sweetest angels that keep us from harm. What a miracle that we were born, that your sun does rise on every morn, that your love shines through the darkest night and gives our eyes the gift of sight. You are the tree so green that grows so tall, the hummingbirds that are oh so small, and the fire so warm and the fire so bright, and the singing whales with all their might. You are the deepest sleep that gives us rest, the rhythms beating in our breasts, and the in and out of every breath, and the courage to do our very best. Of all the miracles before our eyes that bring sweet joy into our lives, you gave your life, you gave it all. Your love's the greatest gift of all, the greatest miracle of all.
Oh, that was beautiful as always, Jayanti. Thank you. Okay, so this coming Wednesday, we will have a reading of Swami Ramakrishna, Apostle of the South, here in the temple at 5 p.m. Wednesday. On Saturday, we'll have a reading of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna at 5 o'clock. And on the 23rd, next Sunday, Swami Harinamananda will speak on service as worship, practical ways for serving the sacred in others. That sounds lovely. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. And again, happy Father's Day, everybody.